How's it going, everybody? I am Louis the Average Guy 1983. Thank you so much for joining me on this video. It's been a while since I've been in front of the camera and I have officially relocated to a new home. So I want to thank you guys for your patience on this. I do have several other unboxings that I'm going to be doing with Outfitters, as well as a couple of other electric scooter brands. And I'm excited to be doing that. So I'm slowly catching up. I'm not officially 100% moved in yet. There's a lot of boxes I have to unbox. My office looks like a public storage. So it's going to be a minute before I'm able to show you guys my office and show you guys a walkthrough of everything. So with that, I thank you guys for your continued patience. But I'm excited because this is my new backyard. And this is my new location here, and hopefully you guys find it visually appealing. With that said, I have an exciting unboxing for you guys from the Outfitters company. This is the Easy Fold 200-pound platform 2 e-bike rack, and I do have the ramp that's sold separately here. That's what's in a separate box. The ramp does not attach to the e-bike rack, so that's just something to take into account. But the e-bike rack itself is a lot cheaper than the previous model. Now, there's a couple of cool things about this bike rack versus the other one that I did for you guys. And number one is that it's easy fold. So that was one of the concerns that I had with that bike rack, because on the other one, in order for me to be able to fold it up and back down, I had to remove a cotter pin and this giant metal stud that went in the middle of it. And you have to align the holes when you fold it up or down in order to be able to put the pin back into place and the cotter pin. And that was not a deal breaker, but kind of a hassle to be dealing with consistently, especially if you leave the bike rack attached permanently on your car and you go to the grocery store and you want to put the bike rack down in order to get access to your trunk. You're gonna have to keep putting that, pin out all the time. So when I talked to Outfitters about that, I told them it would be cool if they could make something a little bit easier. They may use like a trigger to be able to easily fold up and fold down the bike rack to just make things a lot easier. Well, they actually listened to the feedback and they made one, and this is it. So we're gonna go ahead and unbox it. I'm gonna show you guys how to set it up, like arm it, put it together, and then we're gonna install it on my Ford Flex, load up the Rover Leon and the Rover Emma to it, and take off the batteries from it and see how it does on the road, and we're gonna see how well it does. So let's go ahead and start with the unboxing. Alrighty, ladies and gents, let's go ahead and get started. And again, when you're working with a blade, be sure to go the opposite direction of where you're facing. Okay, now that we're done with this, let's go ahead and get closer. We're gonna actually lay down the box so we can lay everything out on the concrete floor and show you guys how to put everything together. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and open up this lid and see what we have inside. How organized did Outfitters make this rack inside of the box? Oh, that looks really nice. Let me go ahead and put this box to the side real quick. Alright, so this is very, very organized. Let me lift this up real quick so you guys can just see how that is. Check that out. That is very beautifully done. Have your boxes everywhere. This is just to make sure that nothing moves out of place and everything stays put. I love the Outfitters branding right here. I'd also hope that they have it on the other side, because that would have been cool on the other rack. Not a big deal, but I do like seeing the brand name, especially when it's facing at the front, so that whoever is behind you when you're driving somewhere, they can see what brand of e-bike rack you have in case they're interested. So I do like that they zip tied this down, so we can see that there is an owner's manual right here to put it together. So let's go ahead and start taking everything out of the box and see what we got. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, and this right here is everything that you get with the bike rack. So you can see that right here there are two bags. One of them here has all the screws and bolts needed to assemble this together. And you get these plastic mounting clips here. I'm not sure what this is for, but we're going to look at the manual and see what it's for so we can attach them. And then you do get the straps that are for the body of the e-bike to be able to attach to these poles here and lock it into place so that it stays secured. Alrighty guys, so let's go ahead and start assembling it. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, so let's go ahead and start with step one of the installation. So what we're going to be doing is installing these two brackets together, okay? And what you need is the short M16 by 85 bolt and M16 locking nut. Okay. This one here is the one that's going to attach to the ending pin here for the tow hitch, so that you can attach this over to your vehicle. So have this set to the side. But for right now, we're just going to need these two plus these two, and then a 24mm wrench and a 24mm socket. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, keep in mind that the way you see this right now, this is backwards. You actually have to turn this around the other way, just like this, where the flat part right here is facing upwards towards you. And then this part of the bracket gets attached to the edge right here. So we're going to go ahead and put this on like this, just like that. And now we're going to attach the bolt. The bolt gets attached from this end over here. What we want to do is just slightly lift up the rack a little bit. See, that got the bolt in this side. And now we can go ahead and start attaching this bolt and the locking nut. Here we go. Now the instructions do say do not over tighten. So it probably would be good just to leave it like this. See how you can still kind of rotate the screw a little bit? You can kind of see that right there rotating. That's how you want to leave it. Alrighty, ladies and gents. Now step 2 is to install the front wheel holder and the crossbeam together. There are some M10 by 25 inch hexagon screws. You do have to remove them because they are tight. They're tightened up a little bit, so you can't really remove them with your hand. You're gonna have to use a 5/8 socket to be able to get these off. So I already loosened these up just to try to get them off faster for the installation purpose. Here we go. Now, this gets installed exactly how you see this. This part flat down goes on the ground, and this part here, this rounded area, goes at the top. And you just align these two holes on each side with these two holes on each side. Here we go. And what has made things a little easier for me when it comes to installing this kind of stuff is just slightly installing the screws, like just tighten them up just a tiny bit, and just enough to hold it in place, and then grab the socket to be able to fully tighten them at the end. Doing that allows you to move this bracket like this. You see how I can move it back and forth? It's just in case, you know, something's slightly misaligned, you can go ahead and install it a lot easier. Here we go. And now we grab the 5/8 socket and start tightening it up. This one you definitely want to have tight. I also recommend that when you tighten your screws, do one here, one on the bottom on the left side, one on the opposite side, and one on this side. Just makes it easier, so everything remains aligned. There we go. Now this side. There we go. Now this side. There we go. And job done for this part. Now let's go to step 3. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, and this is going to be step 3. I have already attached one just so that I know how to properly attach this. We're going to be attaching this bracket to this right here, and we're going to be aligning these holes that you see here with the holes that are right here. So we're going to be putting this just like this, okay? And then we're going to be using the long bolts. These long bolts that you see here, they're going to go in this direction from the back side. So we're going to be lifting this up a little bit just to make sure that we have this properly aligned, and then also make sure that the holes are aligned. See, the holes were off a little bit. There we go. That's one. And now this side, that's two. Now, your little bolts that you see here, these go on the back side here, right here. The long part of the screw goes in from the front. So now we just attach the locking nuts, and you will need a 17mm wrench and a 17mm socket to install these. And again, do not over tighten these screws. Just make sure that the edge of this screw on the back side and the edge of this locking nut are just against the wall of this metal bracket. You don't want to over tighten it, because if you do, this track right here can get too tight and it'll make it hard for this part of the bracket to move back and forth. Here we go. I zoomed in closer so you guys can see this. You want this edge of the bracket right here to just be flush with this. So there is a little bit of a gap there. So we just want to close it up or tighten it up until the point where it's flushed. There you go. Just like that. That's all you need to do. Alrighty, let's go into step 4. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, and this is going to be step 4. We're almost going to be getting done with assembling the e-bike rack. So we're going to be installing the support tubes into the rack. It's going to be right here in the middle, one here and one here. But before we install it, please be sure to remove the half rounded gaskets that are made out of plastic. These ones right here. We need to make sure that we get these out of the way and installed. So you have to remove the 3M adhesive and install them in this direction like this into the inserts. So let me go ahead and zoom in for you guys so we can get that started. All right, so we're going to start with the very first one. There's a hole that's aligned at the bottom, and we're just attaching it there, just like that. Do the same thing on the opposite side. And it seems like they do kind of come off a little bit, so just be careful when you attach them. Just press them a little bit just so they stay in place. Has a very thin 3M adhesive on it, but it's probably like that so that the bracket attaches easy. Here we go. Just one more. And hopefully you guys can see this okay, because this is as far as I can zoom in. All right, cool. Now we're going to start with this side here. This is the back side, so we're going to do this one with the Outfitters logo and grab the bolt. So the Outfitters logo that you see here, we want to face it the opposite way and attach it to the first hole right here. And the bolt, you want this part of the bolt facing the outside. So here we go. There we go. And then we want to attach the nut and repeat with the opposite side. Alrighty, ladies and gents. So we zoomed out so we can be able to attach this now. So you guys can see, again, this part of the bolt, this rounded edge here, goes on this side over here in the back. So here we go. There we go. Attach the bolt. Okay. Alrighty, ladies and gents. So on this part, it tells you in the owner's manual to set the bolt tightness to 50 Newton meters of torque. Unfortunately, I can't find my torque wrench because I do have one, but I can't find it because, you know, I'm still like in the process of the whole moving thing where I'm unboxing things. So we're just going to tighten it up as best as we can with a 17mm socket. And we're going to eyeball the 50 Newton meters of torque. We want to make sure that this thing is tight, but not to the point where you can't lift it, but just enough to be able to pull it back and forth. See that? So I'm just tightening it up right now. There you go. This feels pretty good, but we want to make it a little tighter. And let's see how it feels. Oh yeah, that feels good right there. All right, cool. Let's go ahead and repeat with the other side. Lift this side up and tighten it up as good as you can, just to the point where you can barely feel this moving. You see how this one is moving like this, but it's like tight? That's how you want to do this side as well. Not everyone has a torque wrench. So just tighten this up to the point where it doesn't move too much. See, like this, that looks pretty good right there. But we'll tighten it up just a bit more. There we go. That's really nice. A little bit more. Perfect. Now they're straight. All right, and we're done there with that. Let's go ahead and zoom out so we can see the ending results. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, and this is basically 90% done. The last thing we need to do is attach these part of the brackets into these poles. Now, the way you want to attach these, you want to have one sticking out like this towards you, like behind the vehicle. And you want to have this part of the bracket that you see here on the inside, not on the outside. You want it on the inside. So that this way, when you put this down, you put it down in this position, it doesn't scrape up the latch that you have to turn to be able to lock the this bracket into place. So we want to do this here like this. See, because it's already sliding down. Let's go ahead and tighten it up a little bit. There we go. And then this one attached this way. And again, you want the bracket part that turns to tighten up the bolt on the inside, not on the outside. Now this is just a temporary thing because this can be taken off. You can throw it in your car and then just have this detach all the way down to the bottom like this, and not have to worry about like the bike rack getting in the way of anything, just having it up. So we're going to go ahead and take this to the car now, and we're going to install it. But before we do, let me show you the two locking mechanism options that you have available. One comes stock with this, and one is an additional purchase. Alrighty, ladies and gents, so there's one thing I wanted to show you guys, which is the locking mechanism that comes with the bike rack, but the additional one that you can get. So here we have two mounting points for your bike rack. Both of them have threaded inserts here, or threads for the screws, and require a 24mm socket to be able to install these. One is a little bit easier to remove because of the fact that you can just remove the cotter pin here and unscrew it, but then your bike rack can get stolen. But this one right here uses a key, and you get two keys with it. Now the reason why I prefer this one is because this one makes it a lot harder than this one to steal. So you still need to lock it into place with a 24mm wrench, or at least a socket, because it has a threaded insert on the bike rack to keep it in place so that it doesn't move too much. So we're going to go ahead and unbox and set up the ramp, and then we're going to go ahead and install the bike rack in the car so that this way we can see how well it does with the Rover Leon and the Rover Emma. Let's do this. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, so I've already unboxed the bike ramp that we're going to be using for the rack here, and this is the attachment here, just so you guys can see what it looks like. See that? And the cool part about it is that it folds, and you can easily store it in a trunk of your car, your crossover, your SUV, your truck, etc., and have plenty of room. You don't have to worry about the whole thing being super long and not knowing where to store it at. I like this a lot. It does have 2 hook attachments here, and all it does, it just basically goes up on the side. So when you lift this up, there's holes on the side of the rack, and it just gets attached just like that. And then you just load up your bike into the bike rack, and then you just remove it, fold it, put it in your car, and you're good to go. Very simple. So with that said, my friends, let's go ahead and load up the Outfitters bike rack into my Ford Flex so we can attach the Railroad Leon and the Railroad Emma 3.0 and see how well it does with those 2 massive size e-bikes. Let's do this. Alrighty, ladies and gents, so now that we have the bike rack over here on the back of my Ford Flex, we're going to go ahead and attach it to the tow hitch. What you want to do is make sure that you attach the threaded insert right in front of the hole that's on the actual tow hitch itself. So it's a little tricky to do because sometimes when you get the bike rack and you put it in, it goes in too far. So then you have to like kind of wiggle it a little bit to move it out. But once you get that hole aligned, then you'll be able to attach the locking mechanism. Let's go ahead and do that now. So this bike rack does feel a little tiny bit heavy the way I'm holding it right now at 58 pounds. And what we're going to do now is just scoot it up. It's a little too far. Right around there. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring you guys closer so we can attach the bolt. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, so now when we have the bike rack attached to the tow hitch here and the threaded hole is aligned with the edge of the hole here, we can go ahead and grab the screw, stick it in there, and start rotating it to lock it into place. Now you might need to move this bike rack a little tiny bit just to make sure that the holes are aligned. Once it is, you can go ahead and start using the socket, again 24 millimeter, to start locking it into place. And then it'll start attaching a little bit easier. Alright, so let's just keep going until we fully attach it. And you can see it already coming out on this edge right here. And you want to make sure that this is locked nice and tight so that this rack doesn't move and start wobbling. Now some bike racks come with attachments where you can put a locking mechanism here at the bottom and tighten it up with extra bolts. But this one didn't come with one. Alright, almost done right here. There you go. And that's attached. There you go. Just like that. So you can see right there, the bolt is sticking out on the other side. We're going to go ahead and just attach the locking mechanism right here. And check that out. Now your bike is protected. Let's go ahead and zoom out so we can see what the rack looks like. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, and this is the bike rack fully assembled. What do you guys think? Not bad, right? It's beautiful in the color. I love the solid black look. Looks really nice. And what I like about it the most is the easy fold feature. So the easy fold feature has a pin that's right here. And what you do, you just turn the little knob once you pull it off so it stays open. And then you pull the trigger up. And you can do either a tilt feature, which it tilts just like that. Or you can have it locked like this. Or locked like that. Not bad, right? So I like this a lot because one of the things, like I said earlier in the video, that I struggled with the other rack was having to pull a pin in and out from this area right here just to lift up the rack and bring it down. So if I go grocery shopping, I can easily just bring this down like this, open up my trunk, and literally load up my groceries, which is great. And once I'm done, close up the trunk, pulls the easy fold lever and lift up. Lock the pin back into place, and we're done. Isn't that freaking cool, man? This is awesome. Now, the only thing that could make this even better is if they had a 300-pound weight capacity with the easy fold feature. And to prevent scratches, there's a piece of rubber right here at the top. So when it lands all the way down, as an example, we'll bring it down again. If it lands all the way down, only this is going to scrape at the bottom, just the rubber piece. And that's easily replaceable if you need to change it out. But this is a really cool and convenient feature. Look at that. Look how easy it is to fold up. Now you don't have to worry about detaching the bike rack if you need to detach it. It just works. So it's so freaking cool. So if you have problems with your back, as an example, or problems with your knees and you can't be picking things up, maybe something like this bike rack will be more beneficial for you. So with that said, my friends, let me go ahead and stop talking. Bring the Railroad Leon and the Railroad Emma and load them up and see how it does on the road. Because that's another thing that's important, right? We want to make sure that it's not shaking a lot or anything like that. So let's see how it does. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and set up the Railroad Emma 3.0 and Pedal Assist 3 to help it get up. There we go. This is for the Emma 3.0, and again, this is a 130-pound bike, so keep that in mind the way you see it. So to secure it, the next thing we want to do is attach this bracket here. So we want to lift this up, pull the pedal down a little bit. Here we go. And then, okay, this is a little, it's leaning a little too much. But we'll see how it does right now. And we want to attach this to the edge. Now this new design for the mounting point is nice. Okay, that's really nice. Let me bring you guys closer real quick so we can take a look at that. But first, let me attach the bottom portion here. Okay, let's go ahead and attach this part. That's one side there. There you go. There's one bike attached right there. And this is a new mechanism here for the bike rack. This attached here. Now this is not going anywhere. This is going to stay put very nicely. Let's go ahead and attach the Leon now. Alrighty, so just so you guys can see, I did detach the batteries from the Railroad Emma 3.0. I took off the battery from here and the battery over here on this side just to make the frame a lot lighter and to keep things fair for the Outfitters bike rack that can handle 200-pound e-bikes. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, so now we're gonna go ahead and set up the Railroad Leon. This one is 122 pounds with the batteries attached. Here we go. This is a little harder to install because it is a heavier bike. And again, we're like doing our best here to attach everything. There we go. Perfect. And now we're going to go ahead and attach the other post here. Let it lean. And again, what I did have to do here, I had to detach the rubber piece that goes here so that I can actually lock it into the battery area on the rack. So let's go ahead and install this one. Okay, here we go. Tighten up the bracket here so it doesn't move anymore. And now attach the strap. There we go. That's it there. That's not going anywhere. And now we attach the bottom here. Go ahead and adjust the rubber piece that's here. This is to protect the rim from damage. Just like that. There we go. Now we attach the back one. And again, this area here is adjustable here. You can move it to the left, to the right, etc. Just to make sure that you get it right. Here we go. That's it. There you go. Look, check it out. See that? Pretty cool, huh? So now what we got to do here is remove the batteries. Take one off first and then remove the second one. Here we go. Now we can detach the ramp and then fold it up and put it in the car. And there we go. Everything's officially done. Let's get ready to roll, guys, and see how this bike rack does in the road. Alright, my friends, so the first test that I'm doing is the driveway test. I want to see if the bike rack scrapes, and by my surprise it did not. It actually passed the test. I also decided to take it into the freeway to see if I can get the bike rack to react like moving left and right or up and down. And I was able to go up to about 70 miles an hour as the top speed, and by my surprise the e-bike rack stayed very stable with hardly any movement. Most of the movement and wobble that you see on the screen was from the camera itself, and I am using an Insta360 X4 with an extended pole, and that pole for some reason always tends to wobble a little bit up and down or side to side. So it was definitely not the bike rack. But by my surprise, the bike rack did fantastic, going up to 70 miles an hour like you can see here on the screen. The next test I decided to do was just a standard road test. Now this one was only going about 40 miles an hour to 45 miles an hour, give or take. And I went through this street because this street's not perfect. There's a lot of imperfections on the road, and I wanted to see if I can get the bike rack again to react a certain way, and by my surprise it didn't. It stayed very stable, and even though I went through some bumpy areas, it didn't shake or anything like that. The movement that you see again is from the camera itself. The final test was going up the driveway to see if it scraped, and as you guys can see, absolutely zero scraping, which is great. So it passed the test, and it was because the bike rack does have a slight tilt that goes a little bit forward, so it gives you plenty of clearance for driveways. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be concluding my review of the e-bike rack. Hope you guys enjoyed it and found it useful and informative. If you guys are interested in purchasing one of these, please use the link in the description so that you can place an order. With that said, I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace for now.